Greetings. My name is James Major Burns, and this is The Third Degree with me, your host, James Major Burns. And I am here today to speak to you about some things going on in the world, and we just want to try to hear each other out, express how we're feeling, check on each other, and spread some love in these moments. And I just want you all to know that we're in this together and we got each other. Love yourself, love everybody else around you, and let's fight for what's right. Just want you all to remember that this is a safe space for myself and others to speak on things in our lives and our world. This is a chance to share what's going on behind the minds of the creative, because what you see is not always the truth. Here you get to share, laugh, live, love, and sometimes debate. So we have several guests today, ladies and gentlemen. Take a seat and open up your hearts and your minds. Thank you for joining us. And remember, peace, love, and fierceness. So hello, lovely people. My first guest today is Miss TAYJA Sims. Hey, TAYJA.
Hey.
Oh, how are you today?
I am doing all right. I did some very mundane domestic stuff. So I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing okay. You listen, I got up this morning and I went for a very, very lovely jog. I've been running about 2 miles a day for every day this week. So I'm just trying to be more fit. And, I'm approaching 30. I'll be 30 this year. So I'm like, I do need to make a change that I intend to. I can't just let change happen. I need to make change happen. So I'm switching up my, some lifestyle changes right now.
I love it. I love it. I got up early and I did my little workout too. And I'm glad to hear you'll be joining the 30 club. It's fun over
Absolutely.
here.
I was scared a little bit, but I'm happy to live every year fully and get to know myself better, and I'm excited for my journey in life. So thank you for welcoming me. But of course, one of the reasons I wanted you on today is because, again, I want to get out some voices that I know and see how they're doing, how they're feeling. I just want the conversation to continue. And I just want to share that in this moment that we're in right now in America, I feel like the follower versus a leader because of my temperament as a person. There's a lot of times in different situations where I feel like I naturally go into the leading mode, but there are some situations like this one right now where I feel like a follower. I am waiting for a leader to step up or rise up, or several leaders, because I don't think it's one. I think there's going to be several leaders all over in every community to step up and have things to say, have plans to express, and I will go off of that. That's just what I'm feeling in my spirit. I came to that conclusion yesterday because I've been feeling like, I'm like, maybe I need to say something. I don't know what I want to say. I'm afraid to share my opinion because I don't want any, I don't want any backlash, and I don't want to cause, any more problems. But there are so many issues and so many problems. But all in all, the feeling in the air and the feeling that I'm having right now is just very, very uneasy. It's sad. It's anger. It's just a ball of emotions. And it's definitely been a tough last couple of weeks. How has it been for you? How have you been feeling?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I think, James, what you're doing is very wise, to kind of step back and observe first before making any emotional reaction. We need people that are going to be observant and going to be moving in silence, as opposed to being out here trying to just create noise just to get, people riled up and involved. So I think that that's a very wise approach. Um, I don't consider myself a leader, but I do consider myself pretty passionate, and I try to make sure I have enough information before I just co-opt something or co-sign something. And I also have to be careful because not only am I an artist, but I'm also I work in the mental health realm and I work in a government I work for the county. So
Oh
I have
yeah.
to be careful, with that as well. Not that I'm afraid. It's just, there's reputations at hand. I don't want to ruffle anything in my own career
Right. You still
that
have a
could
life that you have to provide for.
Right. Exactly. So how I've been feeling, I mean, it kind of mirrors what you said. I'm weary. I'm weary and we ain't even in our 60s, like our parents, our grandparents, they've seen this.
Yeah, they're still alive. They're
They're
still
still
alive.
alive. The baby boomers, that's why they ain't tripping. Like I call my mom, she's like, "Hi, how you doing?" I'm like, "What?"
Yes.
What? But
Listen,
I mean, mm-mm.
I made a post about the people saying we're not our grandparents. I'm like, first of all, please put some respect on our grandparents' names because we've endured, but they endured for us to endure less.
Right.
It's a different
Yes.
type of situation happening right now, and I don't want to compare this bad thing that happened to this bad thing. But I was talking to some people in my city who had a protest. I said, imagine being approached with billy clubs, water hoses, fire hoses, not just water hoses, and dogs.
Dogs.
There was
Yeah.
no fear of, oh, this is going to get out into the news and I'll lose my job. No, your job told you to go in there to do it
Mm-hmm.
like that. So
Yeah.
don't separate. And that's another thing I want to talk about, being a part of several communities within a community. And I don't want to even use the word minority, I'm like, okay, yeah,
Right.
we're minorities, but we're several communities. And I'm a black
Mm-hmm.
man and I'm a gay male also. So when I saw that you made the post, all Black Lives Matters, I've even been afraid to say that because I know, as a black gay male,
Yeah.
it can get turned around to me putting my issues as a gay guy before, a, a
Yeah.
black guy. I'm like, that's not the issue. I just think within our community, we have so many bridges that have been burned and we're
Yeah.
trying to fight a big battle. So we got to make sure all those holes in our boat are patched. We got to make sure
Yeah.
the boat is steady. We're rocking hard. We're in the middle of the biggest waves. We have to make sure our boat is secure. And you can't ask people to just turn the blind eye to those issues.
Mhm. Yeah. I posted that because I didn't know about those stories or that young girl that got attacked like that until I saw it in somebody else's post, and it was a cisgender, like this person posted it. I believe he's also an artist as well, on Instagram, and I was like, let me check this out. And before I did anything, co-oping or anything, I went and I looked. I watched the video. I dug deeper to see who it was. I think her name is Ayana
Yes, I think
Dior.
it's, oh yeah,
Um,
Ayana Dior.
I think that's how you pronounce it. I looked at the article and then something in me was just like, just I'm like I said, I'm weary. I'm upset, but there are parts in our black community that we mirror our white counterparts, but
Yes,
we've learned it from them.
yes. And
We
there are
we
human traits
learned.
also.
Yes, yeah, we learn these things, in how to behave, in react in ignorance and violence and the lack of understanding and knowledge from the people that brought us over here and taught us their ways. So, as much as we are rallying to get, Black lives to be recognized, we also have to recognize Black lives in the different layers, in the nuanced space that we live in our own community, and be okay with that, without it sounding like, oh, you're dividing the cause. And that's the comment. There was a comment on my post when I said, and I hate the fact that I hashtagged all Black lives. I wish I said every Black life because it does kind of bandwagon the all lives thing.
Yeah, I
Um,
get it. Yeah.
yeah, and when I posted, I was like, it's out there now.
But yeah,
But
I agree with you though. That's something some people are going to find an issue with. But
right,
why should that be an issue when you're saying Black lives? We're saying all. That lets you know right there that they're talking about certain, or some people are
right,
expressing certain Black lives, and that's an issue we have to address.
right. And if we want this to end, and we can't just be counting bodies just because they're black, and you're like, oh, you black, come on, Black Lives Matter, come on. And then once they find out what type of black you are, it's like, oh, you're less valuable.
Yes.
You're more vulnerable. I can do whatever. I can dispose of you. That's why we don't hear about women Breonna Taylor.
Lord.
You know, like, we don't hear about these stories because either they've been co-opted. You know, I follow a lot of different influencers that really wouldn't consider themselves influencers, but beautiful black women. And they're intelligent, they're smart. They talk about these topics that are just being kind of brushed under the rug, and how certain phrases that we come to know have been co-opted. Black Lives Matter is a movement run by queer black women. Black women are always on the front lines.
Can you say that again, please?
Black women are always on the front lines, out here fighting for black people. Don't matter what you look like, male, female, doesn't matter, gender identity, whatever.
Is the black woman not the core of the black community? Is she not the matriarch?
Yes.
Is she not the shoulders that we have stood on?
Yes.
Why have they been degraded the most?
Because it's easy to do that. Because we are the last on the rung. Like, because they know they got us. They know that we will have their back.
Right.
Because we're also black.
That's what's been taught since our birth too. You've been taught that from childhood, and these things are just continuing to happen.
That's why I was very careful about even using, the language that I use, and also, there are phrases like hashtag say her name. That was started by a woman, I believe, the woman that created the word intersectionality started that hashtag, and that was because of the blotting out and the forgetting of black women that have been killed, trans black women that have been killed, the raping and the looting of our bodies, and we don't know, we aren't making waves in headlines and stories like black men, and mind you, their fight is still real. Like, it's a real struggle to just be black in general. And we have your support, but it's very, very hard to get the neck of a black man to turn and support us when our lives are being at risk. Our bodies, the trauma that we take on. Erica Garner, she would have been 30 on May 29th. She had a heart attack out here fighting the wrongful death of her father, Eric Garner.
Wow.
She had a heart attack. Like, that's trauma, generational trauma already, witnessing the traumatic experience of her father dying, and then the untimely death, because she died at 27 years old, never got to experience full life, because most of her life, she saw what happened to her dad. She was a black woman, and then most of her life, before it was cut short, she was fighting for the wrongful death of her father. Like, that's awful.
That's such a sad story.
Yes.
That happens to so many more women like her that doesn't get told. So many more people in our community. My heart goes out right now to all of the black parents. And, my godson is black, and his mother texted our group the other day, and she was just so sad. She said she was almost in tears on her way to work, that this is the world we live in. Her boyfriend, her father's child is black, and he's like 6'2". I'm sure police would think he looks suspicious or aggressive, and now she got 5 black brothers, and so it's on people's minds. I went for a run, and I walk in my neighborhood all the time, and I live in a white neighborhood, and I'm always looking, but now the look is there's wind underneath every limb of me, and I'm just like anxious, kind of uneasy. But that's what's happening to us all the time. But now there's such an emphasis, there's such a magnifying glass on these things that we live throughout our lives all the time.
And imagine the trauma, like just the radiation of just fear, that anxiety and that stress, or that cortisol, that's the fight or flight mechanism that releases stress into your body when you either need to fight or flight. That's detrimental to our DNA when that's when that is revved up for no reason, when we're not in any kind of danger.
Right, and it's all the time.
And it's all the time. That psychological damage, or that psychological mindset of like, I'm in danger, I need to flee from my life, or I need to defend my life. And we don't know who's looking, who's going to harm us. We're defensive, so we don't know if somebody's going to help us, So that our bodies are being damaged and we don't even know. And then we carry that into the next generation because of the sins of the past. The past crimes haven't been atoned for.
Oh, I was just saying, we have to take accountability for people who are already dead. We have to suffer and take accountability for our ancestors. And I'm not talking about hundreds of years ago. I'm talking about 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, for things that we are continuing to do because it's what we've been taught or what we've been told and what we've just done. We got to take accountability now to change these things, to change the fact that we can tell our sons that if they cry, you're still a man, that you're not soft, that, or you don't tell a boy that they're being soft when they're doing anything referencing a woman, that lets the woman know that they're being degraded if their brother is doing something that they can do. So now a little girl grows up feeling less than a man for physical strength, when mental strength is so important also. And do we want to start having tough conversations with kids when they're younger to tell them what the real world is? No, we want to let kids suffer less. We don't want to let them be in a world before it's time to ruin it for them.
That's another thing, just the over adulting of young Black girls and boys. Tamir Rice, when the police rolled up on him, they said it was a young 20-year-old. This little boy was 12.
12.
He didn't look 20 at all. 12 years old.
They rolled up on Tamir like they were at war.
They rolled up like there were like 50 men.
Yes. It would have been, it's like it was an action movie. It's something I feel like I would have, like they rolled up, they got out the car, shot. They were like running around the cars, just scared. I'm like, even when he was on the ground, they're just still behind their car. And the way the police lie, and when video footage is released, just like recently when they knocked over that old man and they said, oh, he fell over. The way they lie, these are the people in charge of the world and America, the stronger, quote unquote, the most richest nation, the strongest nation in the world. These are the people in control of our world. And it is a human trait that everyone possess, that we all possess these traits.
That's why I made that post. Like, there aren't good cops or bad cops. These are good people or bad people.
Yes.
You take you into your occupation.
Yes.
Who you are will show up where you are. You take you where you are. So
why isn't there a constant evaluation of these people? Emotions affect your job. If I'm at a job and somebody got an attitude, they get told to go home if they got a bad attitude or not. But when you they're like the Avengers. They've been given a power over citizens, all of the citizens, to say and do what you please. And it's not just, did you see the movie Black and Blue?
I have not.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
With the officer. Oh, I wanted to.
Oh, and at first when I heard Black and Blue, I'm like, what does that mean? Just Black people and blue people, the police? But they hold blue as a race also. So it's almost like when you join over there, you're not just white, you're blue. But it's predominantly white men, and that's what's ran by. But even for Black people or any race, it's like, you ain't Black when you go out there, you blue. You ain't white when you go out there, you blue. I was like, wow, I've never thought about
the brainwashing system. That's, oh my gosh.
Absolutely. I've never thought about it like that. But these have been some really, really tough times. And I really, really want to thank you. I don't want to extend this too long because I love the passion that we had. I like these little moments. I got several more people to talk to, but I would love to talk to you again when we have some peace, because I've been weary about how I want to do my podcast even now, because I'm like, I don't want to just talk about other things when this is going on in the world. Should I just change all my focus to this? But I still feel like I said, I feel like the things that I have control over or what I can do is still try to bring some type of enlightenment, some type of peace, some type of ease, and just conversation. So I still would love to talk to you about your life, your journey, what you've done, and your career, and just anything as an artist, because you are very positive. I love your artist page that you have created to connect artists. And like I said, I definitely appreciate it, and I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you too, James. You're doing what you're supposed to do. We're artists. We're out here, and that doesn't have to look like anybody else's journey. You're doing what you're supposed to do, and I think you're doing a great job. And keep it up.
Well,
keep it up.
thank you so much, Tasia. I will definitely talk to you soon, and just
Okay.
say you stay safe out there. You know, we got people have completely forgotten about COVID-19, so you make sure you
Yeah.
stay safe out
Yeah.
there, and please,
You
please,
too.
thank you so much. I will talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye
Alrighty,
bye.
bye bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone out there listening, we have our next guest, and that is the legendary KAGE Jonas Coven. Greetings, my good guest.
Greetings.
How are you doing today?
That's a loaded question. I mean, I'm
For the last 2 hours.
fabulous. For the last 2 hours, I'm fabulous. That's what I am.
Yes, as always. I'm so happy to hear from you. I'm happy that you are safe out here in these streets because it has been a whirlwind of everything, but I'm not gonna waste any time. I want to get into this. There are so many things going on in the world today, and I've always wanted you to be a guest on my podcast just to talk about everything. One, because I want people in our city to get to know the people in our city. Two, I want the artists in our city to get to know the artists in our city because I don't really like how we idolize the people outside of our own community, and we idolize the greats or the people we consider greats or the superstars, and we love their journeys, but there's so many journeys happening right here around us, so I want to share those journeys. I want to put emphasis on those journeys, but I also wanted you on because you are definitely an advocate and something that you believe in strongly, and you inspire others, so I've always wanted to have you as a guest. Right now I need you here to share your voice and give a perspective of how you're feeling just overall with the last couple of weeks of the world.
Um, well, I have to say that, even being at local events and whatnot, I'm noticing that there's kind of this like unity approach coming that's great, but it's kind of leaving people behind. Um, I'm someone who recognizes all of my privileges, and I'm really glad to see other people recognizing theirs. But in these privileges and needing to speak up, there's a lot of people being forgotten that have been victims in this situation, and it's Black trans people.
Absolutely. And
Like, no, go ahead.
I just wanted to say because, you know, we're a part of the same community, and
Mm-hmm.
we're a part. Our overall community is our Black community, which is suffering right now. And for me, I've been even afraid to just even speak up about the LGBT community because I know the first thing somebody's gonna say is, you guys always want to make that an issue over this and blah blah blah." And I'm like, no, we are not. We can't for the 1 millionth time push something aside, be told we're going to fight this cause and we're going to come back to your cause, but
Mm-hmm.
we're not. We can't do that. We can't be silenced anymore. We have to speak up. We have to fix. I was talking to the guest before you. I said there's no way we're going to be on a boat in the biggest waves on the world and we have these holes in our own boat and you're like, well, just patch them up. No, we need to seal these boat holes tight. We're on this boat rocking and rearing together, and we need to make sure the holes in
Mm-hmm.
this boat are sealed with cement, that they're not breaking again. We need to fix home first. And
Yep.
I'm not, like I said, sometimes I get afraid because of just my journey in life. And I'm like, I am not going to be silent about this. I am going to stand up. I'm going to speak for myself. I'm going to speak for my other people in my community who need the voice. We're not going to not show them love when they need it as well as everyone else right now. Everybody has a voice.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's problems matter in our community. If you want to stick to our community, we need to speak about this.
Yep. Absolutely. Like, I I can't even, like, even in Youngstown, we I didn't hear nobody saying Tony McDade. I didn't hear nobody say his name. He was killed by the police just like other people. He was misgendered posthumously. We've got black trans women being murdered, not just by the police. We've got black trans women being beaten within an inch of their life.
Yes.
And we're going to leave them behind. Like, let's talk about the LGBTQ community for a minute. Let's talk about the community, because honestly, like, it's not just, you know, black men being told we don't date black men. It's not just black women being told that you're not pretty. It's black trans people that thought that threw the first brick at Stonewall, that went to jail and were told that they didn't matter in the middle of rallies that were because of police brutality, but they were the ones in the pit facing it, and we're gonna turn our backs? Nah.
Right. You want to imitate it's the whole rhythm and blues thing. Want the rhythm, not the blues. You want to imitate all of everything, but you don't want to facilitate, help, give everything you have for everything you've taken from.
Mm-hmm.
I
said it the other day. If you, what good are all your privileges worth if you were not willing to lay them all aside for true equality?
Absolutely. Even for basic things, I feel like if I was privileged to hear knowledge from somebody, like, so as a singer or as an artist, I have like our career coaches. So I feel like I'm privileged to receive their knowledge. So I share it with some of my friends I feel like might not have a privilege to receive that knowledge. And that's at the lowest scale, you know? But I'm like, I'm going to take these things that I might feel like these are my privileges, and I'm automatically returning them. I'm automatic. It's just a cycle. It's nothing I just keep. It's just always pushing back out. I'm receiving and I'm giving. I'm receiving and I'm giving. But people like to just receive, and that giving, their giving area is completely locked off. Mm-hmm. And there was a story recently about the trans woman Ayana Dior. Did you believe her name is? And I've been speaking with my friends, and I wish you could hear the conversations I have with my friends. But you know, I have an image. I have to try to uphold my image in public, but I'm not having it, and I can't stand when people refuse to see. They refuse to understand. I said that group of black men beat Ayana down because they knew she was trans. It wasn't just about, oh, she hit this child. No, they saw a trans woman and they were not hesitant at all. There was no resistance for them to begin to beat a human being down. Even in these times where Black Lives Matter and they're like, oh, we need to come together as a community, there was no hesitation to release that anger on that person, on Ayana. And even after she got away, they still wanted more. They like, come out the store. Yep. I'm like, why? Do you want to kill her? Like, you already beat her down. Didn't you like, don't you win already? Like, you can't win again. Like, after the game's over, the game's done. You don't run the ball again and score an extra touchdown. The game's done. You already beat her down. What do you want to kill her now?
Right.
What else? I don't get it. And people are watching that and they're like, oh, she hit a child. Do you not? That's what I'm talking about. And you don't have to be trans to understand. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be gay to understand. Just like people who are not black are trying their best to understand. No, you can't walk in the shoes of the person. You can't never. I can't walk in Trey's shoes. Hell, that's just not how life is. But you can do your best to understand. People refuse to understand. And I am mad. And being in the black community, I'm like, I'll be 30 this year, KAGE. I came out at almost 23 years old. I feel like I've been just only happy or trying to be myself or living in my skin, unashamed or less scared for just several years. And I can't speak on how everyone felt for their journey, but I just know how my journey was. So for me, the reason I live my life the way I do is to try to get people to be inspired and not have to go through the things I went through. Like I said, I try to just give off some good energy, but besides that, I will not be silent. I don't want anybody to go through what I had to go through. And if that comes off to some people in my community as me pushing my issues ahead of something else, I'm like, that's how it's going to have to come off. But that's never what I said. I'm still for the love in our community for all of us. But we have to also acknowledge those burned bridges in our community that have been burned to smithereens, or we can't move forward. We can't keep strapping up our boots for one group in a group and not strap up our boots for the other group.
Amen. And I mean, they say, it's been said how many times now, we are not free until the least of us is free. The least of us. So if you want to talk about the least of us, I'm not playing Oppression Olympics, but statistically, if you want to talk about, totem poles and that's probably even not a good, if you want to talk about like hierarchy, there it is, it's a better word.
Right.
If you want to talk about hierarchies in everything, for people out there, who may not even think about this, the loudest voices in our communities in this world are white women. And right now, the fire that I am seeing from them in our honor and the anger that they are putting out there trying to get people to listen it's late, but I'm here for it.
It's like better late than never.
Right? Like, listen, I get it. Like, for whatever hangups you had, I don't give any crap for that right now. I don't care why you were silent before. What I care is that you're loud now and that you're listening to us and amplifying that voice.
And there's some people who are
now,
there's some black people who are saying, just cancel out all white people. I'm like, that never has happened. You do know in the 60s, there were not just black people marching. There were not just black people marching for the freedom and rights for Black lives. It's always going to be a colorful war, a colorful protest. You can't just say, screw all white people. First of all, they outnumber us. Like, if you would you talk about just walking up to people, fist fighting them? No.
Yep.
It's like I said, there needs to be a plan. And I'm going to share this opinion with you also. I don't feel like I'm one of the leaders that are going to rise up in this moment. I actually feel like one of the people who need to be working in the middle. I need to be the middleman. I want to be the person that is given the folder to complete the set of rules. That's where I'm putting my faith right now, my belief. There are some things in life that I fall right into a leadership position, but in this moment, I've just been really weary. I'm like, you know what? I think that I need to wait for orders. I need to wait to see who's going to be in charge. And there are going to be many, many leaders all around, because there can't just be one person. One person can't speak for a mass group of people. And we don't, like, as far as when it comes to like looters and things, I keep telling people, I'm like, these thieves aren't just thieves during this type of moment. They steal every day. And when they walking through Walmart stealing their chargers and their bag of chips, I can't tell them to stop then. I can't tell them to stop breaking into Target now. And I'm not going to tackle them from breaking into Target. I'm like, I don't have any control over that. Just like when I'm focused on myself as a person, or I'm focused on myself as a performer, I have to focus on the people who do love me and the people who do care. We got to move forward there. And we can't try, I'm not saying we're leaving anybody behind, but we got to focus on the people who are focused, and we got to go from that point. And those other people, they going to get it. They're going to have to come on, or people will get left behind. It's just straight what it is. We're moving forward. We have to move forward. And for all those people who are still against, want to be against the LGBT community, or whether it's against women, or whether the goddamn police are against us all, whether they're always want to, sorry, let me stop trying to, I'm so close from cursing every 2 seconds. Whether it's the police brutality or black people, whether it's anything, we are going to have to figure out how to move forward together. So right now in the world, when the police brutality is so harsh on people of color, we have people outside of the black race, and we can have another conversation of what it means to be the black race actually means. That's a conversation for another day. But right now, we are needing to stand strong and solid and concrete as a community as much as we can. I know it's not going to be everybody, but as much as we can. And I do need and want and hope that the leaders understand and get the message out that it is every Black life. And you all Black lives, every Black life. We need it to be a symbol. If we're going to be hand in hand, somebody can't be holding a blade in their hand. We need to. It needs to be every Black life, and we need to have some sense of, all right, because they want to tell us to put our issues aside. Well, you put your issues aside. You can feel how you want to feel, but you need to love up on me right now. I talked to somebody the other day. They're like, what do you want? What do you want? You can't just say you want love. You need something concrete. Is it just a feeling? I said, hell yeah, a feeling would be nice. Hell, let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I don't know, Cage. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know love will help.
Like there isn't just one answer.
Exactly.
And the other thing too that really gets me is, like, we need to realize when we say every Black life, we mean every Black life, every shade of Black, every tax bracket of Black. We don't just mean Black people that are stuck in, this oppressive cycle of being poor and being underprivileged. Like, we don't need to accept that anymore. That is not, okay, I will just say it. I went on Amazon Prime last night and I found a documentary called Not Black Enough. James, when I say that I have not felt heard or seen, this documentary was it. There were Black people of all kinds.
You said it was on Amazon?
It's on Amazon Prime.
I need to go ahead, check that out.
And it's talking about people that I know, because I've always felt like, because I have light skin and because I was raised by white people in a white area, that I'm not Black enough. And so that this isn't my fight in some way. But it's like, yeah, but racism doesn't just look like being murdered by the police or being pushed to the, in quotes, ghetto. That's not what it means. It doesn't mean, being underprivileged. It doesn't mean,
right,
just save the last dance. Like, it's all of us. And
absolutely.
And using those privileges, like, yeah, I have a proximity to whiteness, and that proximity puts me in a position where I can connect with people on a level that, like, I said it the other day, that there are people that are angry and not able to, like you just said, that are like, fuck all white people, leave them. Sorry about swearing. But, like, that's what they're saying, And you know what? They are absolutely in their right to feel that way.
Right.
But I don't get to feel that way because of my privileges. So what
I can't feel that way.
Allow them to feel that way, but that pushes me even further toward, I gotta be the one. This revolution is not a revolution if it's not inclusive, and it's not a revolution if people think that the only way for their voice to be heard is to be out in the streets. Like, no. If you are at the bottom of this pole, at the bottom of this hierarchy, then, in my opinion, you're the one that gets to be angry and screaming and inconsolable. I don't have that right.
Right. I definitely understand that. I think that was very well said. I'm so glad you got to share that. I'm so glad you were able to get that off your chest, get that out of your mind. And this is why I have my podcast, to get this message out. Again, I want the world to hear it, but I especially want the people in our city to hear it. We all live together. We are essentially roommates in one big ass home. And you might not like your roommates, but it's home. Your roommate might not do the dishes, but it's still your roommate. You're not going to just toss them out. We need to figure out how to make home happy, or closest to it as possible. Again, this is a boat with some holes in it. What do you want to do? Are we going to cover the holes with sticks? Or are we going to go get some seal? Are we going to seal it shut? And again, like you said, there are many answers or many solutions, but it won't just be one. And one person won't have all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you, go ahead.
Like in the documentary, they talk about how this is what really hit me and really got me really paying attention, is they said that slavery ended, but it didn't just go away. It just changed forms. And the mentality that was put upon anybody in the African diaspora, that pitting us against each other, whether it's the color of your skin, the type of hair you have, how you speak, your education, where you live, any of that. Like, that is that we didn't do that to ourselves. That was passed down to us because it was drilled into our ancestors and then passed on to us. It's like crabs in a bucket. They will pull each other down the second one crab tries to get out.
And when people say things stem from slavery that we still go through today, no one wants to hear it. And I've had friends, both white friends and even from theater, my theater world, tell me, oh, everything goes back to slavery. I'm like, are you upset because it does? Are you mad because it's the truth?
Right.
One time a guy told me, because I was like, what can we do? Should we walk through the city and sing some songs? And he was like, I wish there was something I can walk through the city for and essentially basically sing songs to be proud of being white. I was like, you should be happy you don't have to. It's like when straight people say there's no straight pride. There's no reason for you to have to shout that or to fight for it.
There's no funerals for living people.
Yes. Come on. Like, people just don't think. That's why I'm like, we give people so much credit for being intelligent and they're all not. I'm like, and then it's like, okay, so this is the type of person we're dealing with, right? That's millions of people. That's millions of people, Cage.
Yep.
How do you deal with that? How? That's one of the biggest things we need to. I don't know if you can figure it out, but that's something we got to work on. But like I said, when you starting at home first, run to the fight with love. Run to that fight with love. And I'm a very emotional person. That's why I try to assess the situation. I try to assess it before I just start speaking. And I try to be careful because emotions definitely take over for me.
Right.
But I do want to thank you. I'm going to be moving on to my next guest, but I just want to let you know that this will not be the last time I have you on. Although I know we're going through some very, very, very tough things in the world, I still think as we're moving forward, we do have to remain positive. I want to continue to share our stories of some people in our cities and some people, some artists in our city, so we can continue to grow together and get to know each other. I said, listen, if I could sit and listen to interviews on ET every day, I can listen to an interview of an aspiring artist in my city. I can listen to an interview of somebody who's been doing this just as long as this person on TV, but I want to get to know the story. I want to celebrate my artists in our city. So I definitely would love to have you back so you can let the people know where it is.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for having me, James, and thank you for using your platform and for always being such a wonderful light.
Thank you. I try to be. I feel like coming out of darkness, you have to remain the lights because the darkness is always there. The darkness is always there waiting for you to fall back in. But I essentially believe that darkness is just a room where there is no light. So your light is just always covered. So there's never the darkness actually. You're always the light. You just have to figure out how to get that cover up off of you.
Amen.
So with that note, you have a very nice rest of your day on this beautiful day. And I mean it with everything. I mean, stay safe out here. COVID is still in the air. I know people are focused on the Black Lives Matter movement, but still remember, people, stay safe. Do the best you can for social distancing. I really want the world to get back together because I tell you the thing I miss the most is hugging people. I miss hugs. I tell you, I roll past some people. I'm like, I miss hugs. That connection and that I miss it. So stay safe out here.
You too.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back with my final guest for today. And I want to introduce to you for the first time on the Third Degree with James Major Burdens, the legendary JOSELYN J.P. Parker. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, my friend. I'm doing really, really well. Thank you for having me. It's an honor. I listen to your show all the time, so I'm definitely honored to be a guest on this show today.
Well, thank you so much. And when I said legendary, yes, I wanted you to know. Legendary, yes, you have been doing things for the longest time in the city. And I have a funny story. Just the other day, I was like, where did I meet Jocelyn? And where do I remember Jocelyn from? And it was
Mm-hmm.
that 2012 or 13, that variety show in Youngstown.
Ah,
I was like,
yes.
that's the first time I saw Miss J.P. Parker. I believe
All
that was the
right.
first time. I was like, I think she won. I was like,
I did win
yes,
that
she
show.
did.
That was a really, really, that was so good to hear. That was a minute ago. We got to do that again. That was
Listen,
very
I was waiting. I was so waiting for the next one to happen. And,
nice.
again, hopefully we can rise that back up. But I was like, that's where I know JP from. But it was so random how I thought about that.
Ironically, I think that there was like some talk about there being another one because I remember being asked to be a judge because I won the first one. They said, "Will you come back and be a judge?" And I was super excited. And then I don't know what happened with it, but I don't remember it ever coming. At least I wasn't there. So
No, there was not a. They did a
okay,
South High variety show, but there was a time that Miss Hammond, Miss Kathy, she was
yeah,
talking about doing another one. I don't know what
yeah,
happened, but she definitely
yeah.
was trying to do another one.
I do. I remember that. So that's good stuff, man. That was a good memory.
Hey, yes, yes. I'm so happy that you're on today, so I could share that with you because I was like, where did I meet Jocelyn?
Yeah, that's dope. I love that.
Yeah. So, but I just wanted to bring you on because, like I said, you're a pillar. I feel in our community and within our Youngstown community, within our Black community, and also for me within the LGBT plus community. Like Disney Plus. I just say LGBT plus now because there's.
Yeah.
I think we should rename LGBT community Spectrum. Let's just start calling it the Spectrum because I'm like, are we gonna keep adding words or like there's so many, and I really don't want to offend people, and I understand people won't be offended.
Absolutely.
But I'm like, it's the Spectrum now. We just in it together. And we just gonna say we don't gotta say bro sis or they. We gonna say hey family. I said it's gonna be the Spectrum, and we're gonna be family. So I don't. And I'm gonna call you by your name. I'm not gonna call you nothing else. I'm gonna say, hey family, call you by your name. So we can respect our people underneath that spectrum.
Absolutely. 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 So
I
that's good. Yeah, so I'm ready for it because I know you coming with the
Oh,
with the
listen, I'm coming with
so
the
I'm
heat.
ready.
But I first want to start off with how are you? And I mean that, like, how are you
Mm.
feeling right now with the
Uh,
ways of the world?
Yeah, you know what? It's really tough right now. I can honestly say that. So I'm a PhD student at Ohio State, and like very, like obviously, like everybody else, very abruptly, we were told that we weren't coming back to campus. It was right after spring break, and so that was an adjustment because I'm very used to kind of like being able to go out, and I think that I'm a person that likes to be around people, and so my fiance, she still had to work, and so I was spent a lot of time by myself, which I don't know if it was like good or bad. Like I think that a lot of good things came of it. Like I was able to think. I started working out more. I started doing insanity just to kind of keep myself and my mind going. But I think that just everything that's going on in the world right now, you feel tired. I can say that lately I just been feeling very fatigued. Like you're tired of, having these conversations with people who just don't get it. And I think like a part of it, that not getting it is like people just don't want to. I think we're all kind of in our way. We live in a society, in a space where everybody wants to be right. Nobody wants to be wrong. We are in a cancel culture. Nobody wants to be canceled. Everybody's sticking to their guns. I mean, it's just it's just a difficult place. And I think that, seeing that we're still fighting the same fight that some of our grandparents and great grandparents and, from the sins of slavery 400 plus years ago,
Yes.
it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And I feel the pains of the exhaustion. But we can't stop that.
Right.
Even in my exhaustion, like I can't stop being a voice. I can't stop, fighting the fight. I can't stop doing my part. I can't stop going. I'm in school right now. I can't stop going to school. I can't stop educating myself and educating my brothers and sisters around me. Like, I think that a part of it is just a true lack of education. Like,
Absolutely.
people are not invested in learning and understanding a culture that is not like theirs. And if they are benefiting from this society in the way society has been, and it's like, why would I take the time to educate? This has been working for me. This has been working for my family. This is, so you know what I mean?
That's one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it things
That's
for
right.
them.
It's been broke for us. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so it's frustrating. It really is. And so, but I've been happy to see, and I've been down to the protest here in Columbus a couple times, and
Yes, I've seen.
seeing some of the colors that are down there. It's not just black people. In fact, there are several of our white brothers and sisters that are down there, and they're loud, and they are with their signs, and we are linking together, and folks are giving folks rides like, hey, I'll take you back to your car. Do you need water? I mean, it's just the things that we're seeing. I've been happy with, but we can't take our foot off the gas. We have to keep.
No,
Yeah,
I'm glad you are safe though. That's why I'm glad.
Yes.
That you are safe, because I've seen some photos. I've seen some photos of like these alleged rubber bullets, and I'll tell you that is scary too. And it's been a little frightening for me to want to feel like, if I'm like, should I go out there? Unfortunately, during the protests on, I think it was the previous Sunday here, I was at work all day. But I just hope that all of my people were going to be safe, because it is definitely a scary thing to be out there on that line fighting for your life, essentially, because we are fighting for our lives. But I definitely want to chime in and tell you that I have felt the fatigue as well. And I couldn't tell you why, besides the way of the world is. The last few days, I've just been waking up with tears in my eyes, and just, I'm like, was I crying in my sleep? Because I feel like I'm crying. Like, I felt like I was crying right now, but no tears are dropping. They're just, my eyes are just watering. But I already felt like I had cried. And when it comes to the cancel culture, I said, I ain't canceling nobody else black. I ain't canceling nobody black. I ain't cancel Oprah. I ain't canceling Gail. Who else? I ain't canceling Trina. I know
we might cancel Candace Owens though.
Listen,
sis might gotta go.
Listen, I'm like, for me, I'm like, Candace is saying a lot of stuff right now that maybe one day in 15 years, people are gonna look back and be like, you know what? Candace said some stuff that was harsh, but because I don't disagree with everything Candace is saying, but I'm like, sis, why do you have to say it right now, just like this? And some of it is just so.
I just think that she's a black woman. I think that she's being. This is my personal opinion. I feel like she's being used as a political pawn. I think that, and I don't like that for her. Like,
I think she knows it, and that's the thing I don't like. I think she knows exactly what's going on.
For as a black woman, I mean, to see another black woman being used politically as a pawn, because she was very anti-Trump to start her career. She was not pro-Trump at all, and so all of a sudden that switch. I mean, that's a major turnover. I just think that she's trying her best to get ahead and understanding what she needs to do to get ahead, and it hurts me to see that in many respects she's being used as a political pawn to say the things that really the right wing wants to say, but it's too sensitive for them to say it. So she's being used to say it to kind of rile up, this base that really wants to hear these negative things about the black community. But, that's another topic for another day. It hurts me to see the black sister being used in the way in which she's being used, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree, but I try not to even watch her videos or people's videos like that. I definitely am the type of person to focus on the positive. Like, I reposted one of Candace's videos on my Facebook page one day, but I should have just saved it, because the only reason I reposted it is because I wanted to come back to watch it myself. By the time I got back to watch it, so everybody was on the post like, so what do you think she's right? I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I'm like, I shouldn't even posted this thing. I just didn't think to save it because I was at work. I was like, I need to come back and see what this chick talking about, because she sounded a little crazy, but let me come back and see what she's talking about. But again, like, Trina recently called some protesters animals, and she was speaking very passionately about how she felt about some of the things going on. I definitely think she was wrong to call these protesters animals. It's like, okay, Trina, even if I'm like, y'all, y'all say how y'all feel, but also understand the backlash there. Because you got to watch what you say. You do have to watch what you say and how you say it. You shouldn't have been out here in this midst of everybody being mad as hell, calling your people animals. You could have just been like, I wouldn't protest, but I hope my people are safe. Keep your opinions like that to yourself. Watch how you say it and construct it in a different way. But like I said, I'm like, I ain't about to cancel Trina. She was very passionate speaking on, how she lost her brother. And that's one of the things people, as far as like the black on black crime versus the police brutality. And people are like, that's not the same thing. I'm like, no, it's not the same thing. But I think we should have the same energy to that. And that brings up one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. So when I saw your post say all lives matter, and you said like, gay black lives, trans black lives, and a few other ones, I was like, I'm like, amen. And sometimes I'm afraid to say things like that. Jocelyn?
I said all black lives matter.
Every.
Black lives matter. Every black life. That's right, yeah.
I've been afraid to have conversations like that because I've had conversations in private with a lot of people in my community, and it's been very, very sad at the response I get. And I've been attacked and called a victim for just not wanting to be compared to somebody who wants to touch a child. I'm like, so you're basically comparing me to a pedophile. But if I defend that, I'm a victim. And that's beside the point. But within my own community in Youngstown, I'm not even talking about the history. I'm talking about my own community. As a black gay male, I fell on the outside of the black community sometimes based on how I know people are thinking, based on how I have been treated, or the conversations I've had of how they view me, and not just me, because I'm just a representation to them of more of us. And I have had the exact conversation of, hey, as a black gay guy, I don't feel like I'm in the fight with y'all. I feel like y'all fighting me. But when it comes to the time to when we got to fight together, how am I supposed to be okay with fighting with y'all when I know in the back of y'all heads, I'm still the latter thought. We're only fighting together because I'm a black man. But me being a gay man means nothing to you. I've been told that's not my fight, so it doesn't matter. And I'm like, well, I gotta fight for us because it matters to me, but this is still me. I need y'all to love me. I need y'all to be down for me for still being a black man, even if it's about my gay rights. Be down because I'm a black man.
Right. You know what the sad part is that many people in our community find ourselves in this thing called the tricultural effect. And when I say tricultural effect, I mean that we experience the same homophobia that our white gay peers experience, but we don't fit in with them either. So there's a lot of racism within the queer community. I don't know why people don't talk about that, but there's a lot of racism within the queer community. And then with our black brothers and sisters, we also find that we face racism. I'm sorry. We face the same racism as our black brothers and sisters do as well, but we don't 100% fit into that group either. And so we find ourselves in this tricultural effect where, like, we don't know where, like, we want to fight here with the gay community as well. The gay community, we want to fight with the black community, but we still feel resistance from both sides. And I see it all the time. I've been like doing some research. A lot of my research in school has been about this. And it's really sad. It's a really sad thing. I laugh all the time because I shared with you the other day, like our black queer sisters, Alicia Garza, Patrice Collier, Opal Tometi, like they created Black Lives Matter. All of them are black queer women. Like every single one of them are queer women. Do we think that people would still be in this fight if they knew that? A lot of people don't even know the history behind Black Lives Matter, but we saying Black Lives Matter. But you don't even know that black queer women are the founders of this space. But you don't like me because I'm gay. Right. Like we're struggling with that, and I think that even what they were saying, like even following some of their work and the social justice movement, it's like all Black Lives Matter, and it doesn't matter, if you're gay, straight, trans, bisexual, pansexual, whatever, your Black life matters. 'Cause we got queer women of color being slaughtered daily.
Yes, and you can't be like, oh, just trans, this part of the life matter.
trans women of color, we are seeing our trans women being slaughtered and
turning a blind eye to it.
Yeah, at a higher rate than anybody else in the LGBTQ community. Anybody else. Our trans women of color are being killed at ignorant rates. So there has to be a cry out for that too. Oftentimes they don't even feel protected by the police because people we're talking about police brutality, but a lot of trans women of color don't even feel like they can call the police. A lot of gay black men don't even feel like they can call the police out of not being protected or out of feeling shamed, it has to stop. And there's so many layers to this. It has to stop. It really does.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that I don't feel like Black Lives Matter, because I still, with all my soul.
Absolutely. Because
feel that.
My Black Lives Matters. My dad is black. My brothers are black. My mom is black. It
right.
matters to me because of the people who matter to me. But
that's right.
I use this example of us being in a boat. I'm like, okay, so we're in this boat together, and we got these holes in this boat. This boat is carrying us all. But we got to make sure these holes are solid and closed to fight these waves off, to get to that island, to get to that new land together. And then when we get off that boat, we still are working together. But guess what? We need to keep the boat still. We need to make sure that the boat is still ready to get in those waves and rock together.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's 100% correct. I feel like, people feel as though you can't talk about, which is very ironic, like you can't talk about gay Black Lives Matter, because it's not the same fight. And it's just like,
all week. I've been told that all week.
Yeah, this is not that, it's because we're saying black, does it mean that only straight Black Lives matter? Because I'm trying to understand the point. If we're saying Black Lives Matter, but I'm down there on the front lines with you. I'm down there, they pepper spraying, I'm getting pepper sprayed with you. All of these things, we're doing this together, but does not my Black life not matter because my Black life dates women? So I think we got a long way to go, but we definitely at least need to get to the point where we're getting the attention of policymakers. We need some reform happening. We need to see some legislation change, because it is not by accident that these things are happening. This country has been. That's right. This is not an accident. This was been a recipe for an explosion forever. And then you add COVID-19 in, and then people are out of work, and people are tired, and then people see another Black face being slaughtered, and the person who is killing gets to go home, or you just fired them. You took their job, but you didn't. They're not gonna face any consequences deeper than that, and we're tired of that.
He sat on his neck.
Right.
Like he was at a cookout with his shoes off, shooting the breeze.
Right.
He was watching people watch him like, hey, okay, what you mean? Your point?
Without fear of any consequence.
Bro, he was sitting he was like, it's almost like he was like, have you forgotten where we are and who I am?
Yeah, it was tragic. It was a tragic display of the people who are supposed to protect and serve. It was a sad, but the problem is that there are so many things in place. The union really protects, people and police officers, because this gentleman had 18 complaints. This gentleman had killed somebody in 2006. This is not his first rodeo, yet he still has a job. And there's no other profession that they can say. And I was reading, I think Chris Rock had said something about no other profession saying, oh, we just got a few bad apples. Mm-hmm. There's pilots. Could you imagine being on a plane and saying, this pilot is one of our bad apples? Nobody would accept that, right? Because everybody who has certain jobs have to be, they can't be no bad apple.
Exactly.
You just can't have that in this particular profession. You gotta pick another profession if you want to do that.
Come on.
No.
You can't have a history of these things and continue to do this job.
That's right. That's it. And that's what the cry out is saying.
Did you see Queen and Slim?
Go ahead.
Did you see
Yes,
Queen?
I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Let me tell you how I watched that movie, and then I was like, okay, I was thinking, I'm like, so this movie is going to show where we get off, right? This movie is going to show how it should be. I'm thinking like they're going to find a way to prove that this officer was trying to kill them, and they're going to get off. When she got shot, I almost cried. I was like,
Yeah.
they gonna die. I was up until that point, I was like outside of what the world truly is, and I was like, what was I thinking? Why was I thinking that these two black people were gonna shoot a cop and live? But I guess that was the hope inside of me, because I'm like, he shot her. He was going to shoot him. All they did was protect themselves. But either way, it's our life. It's always our life that is on the line. And I'm like, that's the sad. I try to tell, first of all, no white person I know went to see that movie. But talking to some people I know about it, I'm like, that's just our story. So you either stand there and get shot, or you shoot him and then you get shot. Like, but at the end of the day, in that situation, it's like you come up on the short end or dead anyway.
Yeah, that's the reality, and that's sad. I also definitely want to make sure that just in the time that we remember our sister Breonna Taylor, because justice has not been served in her case at all.
Can I just say, as we're getting into that, because I was just about to bring that up, I shared a post with you. I'll make it. I'm not going to say everything that was in this post. I'm definitely going to continue this conversation with some more people, hopefully. But there was a wonderful black woman I met in Chicago several years ago, and this girl was dropping bars. She was a poet. I don't know what else she does, but I can't remember her Facebook name, but I added her on Facebook. But she made a post about certain things in our community. She said, when a black woman gets, when a queer black guy gets murdered, no, nothing. When a trans black life gets murdered, no, nothing. When a black female gets murdered, a little uproar, maybe some of this. Then when a black man gets murdered, uproar, protest, television, superstars. And she was just showing the balance. And that's how I'm like looking at this Breonna Taylor thing. I'm like, where is the same energy? And I don't want to, I know it's going to come across like somebody's comparing the negative thing that's happening, but I'm like, you also have to look at the truth behind it, because it is only when it is black men. And I understand that they get targeted and they're put into the media, and the media has so much control over what stories are told. I get that. But as far as the response, I'm like, their house, and the police said they knocked on the door. I'm like, but you had a no-knock warrant. So, but you knocked. Whenever else have you done that? But okay, whatever. Okay, whatever. But so they burst into this house. This man come out shooting, and they're like, he injured one of the officers. He thought somebody was breaking into his home.
That's right.
What else would a person do?
Right. He was a licensed carrier.
Come on.
He was protecting his home and his family. They didn't announce themselves. They were at the wrong address. And his fiance is dead. There has to be justice for this young lady. And I just don't want, I want to make sure that we continue to keep her name in the media, continue to say her name, because she's not the only one. We experience what even black women also are being killed. Black women are also being assaulted. Black women are also, there are a number of things that are happening with black women. And although, I understand the plight of the black man, we cannot and will not forget Breonna Taylor in this.
Absolutely not.
Not at all.
And again, I just want you to know, I've let every guest know today, in the midst of what's happening in the world, I wanted to have conversations to get some ease, just hear some voices, especially to spread our voices in our community back to our community. I want people in our town to hear each other and not just read a post and interpret it how you thought the person meant it. I want you need to hear a voice. Everybody doesn't want to go live. A lot of times when I ask people to be a guest, they think they need to be interesting. I say, are you alive? Well, you're interesting, baby. If you alive, if you breathing, you got something to say. And it's not about feeling like you're right or wrong. I want to hear how you feel. And I want us to share these moments with each other, share our thoughts with open minds and open hearts, just to see how your neighbor is feeling right now. We're feeling the same.
Yeah, we feeling the same. We're hurting. There was some some article that I read about like the strain that a lot of black professionals were having going back to a lot of their workspaces with their white colleagues, and knowing that they can't openly vent their pain and their frustration. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot, but I think that, you know, I'm optimistic, you know, about the change. I know that we've done this before. We've been here before. We've been here with my brother, with Trayvon Martin. We've been here with Eric Garner. We've been here with Philando Castile. We've been here with Sandra Bland. We've been here before.
Yes.
And what we don't want to do is to take our foot off the gas. What we cannot do is allow ourselves to be satisfied with the status quo. Oh, they arrested him. There has not been a conviction yet. And until then, we're not going to let off the gas. Until there is some reform, we are not letting off the gas. Until we see legislation change, we are not letting off the gas. Until you understand what your privilege does to our people, we are not letting off the gas. And so we cannot do that, and will not do that. Thank you so much. So I am... I'm absolutely feeling a little bit more optimistic that it may not, you know, that we see some people that are tired. Like when you see that video and hear that man calling for his mother, if you don't feel something in that, then there's something wrong with you.
Yes.
There's wrong with you.
Did you see the video with his brother talking to the older man and then the younger teenager?
I didn't see that one.
I was in tears. This older man, he was 45. I've been dealing with this my whole life. His brother, I think he said he's 31. He's like, I get it, bro, but you got to find a different way. He was telling them not to burn down their own neighborhood. He's like, you got to find a different way. And then he was like, this boy right here, 16. We got to find a different way. It ain't working. And he's screaming. He said, you 45, I'm 31. He's 16. We need to find it different. I felt that. I was like, look at the generations of men right here in front of our eyes. There has to be we got to find a different way. I don't know who's going to do it, but we got to figure out something. Like I said, right now I feel like I'm a follower. I'm waiting for my leader to step up, give me what my rules and my orders, and I'm ready to boot up. Right now I'm the militant. I'm waiting for the leaders. I know my place. Sometimes I know when it's time to lead, but I also know when it's time to follow.
We gotta vote. We can't just vote for the presidential election. We gotta vote, for our local elections. We gotta put the right people in office. And people always talk about, like, I have a right not to vote. My vote doesn't. And you're right. I get you, but then we see no change, right? Like we can't vote for the president and then don't vote for nobody. That's what happened to Barack Obama. You know what I'm saying? Like we voted for him, but then we didn't vote for any other people that could support him in pushing some of the legislation that we wanted to see happen. So then we deemed him like, oh, Barack didn't do nothing. No, he was in everything that was proposed was getting shut down because the people that we needed to be in Congress were not there because we don't vote in local elections. Right. We don't so that is a problem that we have to.
I couldn't wait to get older to vote. I couldn't wait. All we did was learn about the history of voting and how we needed to. People fought for their rights and died and marched. What? And you're not gonna exercise your right?
I think that there's a disconnection that is happening, but you know what? I'm not going to say this with all of our young people because I see some of our young folks out here that are really organizing, that are really standing up, that are making their voices heard. That young sister, Sonia Lenore, who organized the protest in Youngstown, and TAYJA Sims, that was a part of it. I mean, these young people are on fire, and they are the generation that is really making a strong push. But I do see a lot of our young people that are very complacent, and oftentimes they were like, well, we didn't learn none of this, or it doesn't feel tangible to them. And so we have to be able to educate. That's why I told my fiance today as we were driving, I was like, the one thing that I don't want to do, because I'm very passionate, and I think that even when I talk, people think I might be yelling at them or cussing them out. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to find a space that we can educate one another. What we have to do is, like, when I learn something, I have to give it to the generation behind me. I have to give it to my peers. I have to give it to them, because one thing that we're lacking, because we see a lot of our young brothers out there and young folks out there that were maybe a part of looting or throwing, they're angry, right? And they feel this frustration. They don't know what it is. That the Dr. Gloria Ladson-Billings calls it 1,000 daily cuts, right? And so when people talk about racism, they think, oh, well, ain't nobody burning a cross in your lawn, so we're post-racial. Well, ain't nobody, everybody, we can go days without somebody getting shot or lynched, so we're post-racial. But what they don't see is the 1,000 daily cuts that people of color experience in this country every day. So it's the looks that we get when we're walking across the street. It's people following us in the store. It's the astronomical times that we are pulled over for no reason.
In your neighborhood, in your driveway.
That's right. And so those are the 1,000 daily. You just get cut.
Yes.
Cut.
Those
And
small
one day,
paper cuts, though.
That's right. And you know how, and you feel it, like it's these microaggressions. It's people saying hello to everyone else, and then when they get you, they say, "What up, G?" You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that kind of stuff. That's
Come on.
You greeted everybody the same way until you got to me, and then when you go off on it, that's like, oh, you're sensitive, you're upset. No, we recognize a microaggression, but some of our people don't have the language to express what it is that they're feeling, and so they're just upset and they're mad. So what I'm trying to do now is, as I'm learning in this program, or as I'm reading books and I'm finding language, I'm trying to give my people language. This is what you're feeling. This is called a microaggression. This is what it means, and help them understand trauma, the trauma of our parents, the trauma of our grandparents, the trauma of our great-great-grandparents that didn't just go away because Barack Obama was put in office. We are not racial.
Right. Just because Jay-Z's a billionaire, now all black people, no.
That's right.
No.
They're like, well, if he could do it, pull yourself up by your bootstrap. No, my brother, the resources have not been in our community, and we would like to see them in our community. I was just talking to somebody today, and I'm like, do you think that Black and brown people just are inherently, criminal? Is that what you really believe? And I said, like, you put people in a position, in desperate positions, in desperate situations. People do things to survive. This is now survival. People have created gang families because they need it. Because let's talk about the war on drugs and how it was literally ravishing families, for very small things. So, I mean, the systemic racism that has started in this country through 400 years ago in slavery, we are still feeling the effects of that to this day. And until people are really ready to have a real conversation about that, then we will not get any further. And the problem with the Black community as it relates to the queer community is that oftentimes those who have been oppressed then become the oppressor of somebody who they think is less than them. And so what you see happen is that, well, I'm Black and I get criminalized for this, but at least I'm not gay. Yes. And so let me put my foot on the gay man or the gay woman or the trans man or the trans woman, because at least I ain't that. And that gives me that makes me feel a little bit better about my particular circumstance. And so that's where we at.
That's something that's been taught to us in so many occasions in our lives.
That's right. That's where we at, my brother. That's where we are. And until we got to have real conversations. We have to be able to give each other language. We have to be able to help each other to understand on a different level. We're surface right now. Right now we just mad, or we're feeling a way, or that ain't right. You know what I'm saying? And Black people and brown people, we know what it feels like to be marginalized. We know what it feels like to be oppressed. We know what it feels like to be targeted. So it behooves me to think that we would do this to another group of people. But it's what we do, because I need to feel like I have some power. Yeah. I need to got something. So that's a bully. I kicked the little man because now I feel better about the particular circumstances that I'm in. And so as a whole, we got to get there. But that don't take away from the fact that I still would scream Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely. I'm still not going to stop the fight. I still understand where I'm at. I still know my position. That's right. I still know who I am. I still know what you see first when you see me. You see this brown sprinkled down. You see this brown sugar all over. That's what they see first. They
That's what
see
they see.
black male. They don't say that it's a man that's black. They say black male is what
That's
they're gonna
right.
say.
Absolutely. Nobody's getting a description of you. If they see you walking down the street, they say, "Oh, there's a black man in my neighborhood," and da 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 da. Nobody's gonna say, if they see a black gay one, they're not gonna describe me that way.
Right.
So we understand where we are. We understand the position that we're in. But in our community, I need you to know that all Black lives matter.
Right.
And so,
because in our community, when we're black already, they don't describe us as black. Then they go down to, oh, well, he gay. I don't know.
That's right.
Keep the black. Just like for when you want me to keep it black, keep it black.
Yeah.
Because that's where the love is at.
So, yeah, man, we're in a fight. We are in a fight, but I am very much, I'm optimistic, and but that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop. Like, that doesn't mean we let up.
I'm glad you said that.
That means letting up. That means that we are getting the attention. You seen, they just changed the name of Pennsylvania Avenue or whatever, leading up to the White House to Black Lives Matter Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
So. And did you see the street? It's huge. They painted like
it is. I'm sure you can see that from an airplane. That's what I'm like. I feel like if you fly over, you can see Black Lives Matter.
Right. Yeah, I was cracking up.
Shout out to the world. Come on, DC.
That's right. That's right. I wasn't mad at the DC mayor. I was like, that's
hey, it's the start. Hey, I guess it's the start. But all right, now you go ahead and inflict some change on some other things, and we're gonna get this party rolling. But just know it's rolling. And it ain't stopping. We took the brakes off. We took the brakes off the car now, y'all. The brakes are gone.
We got, and we can't let up. We can't let up. That's why I see people like on some of these sites are like, why are y'all still protesting? The officers have been arrested. Why are y'all still protesting? And we're like, listen, because it ain't because maybe George Floyd was the breaking point, but it ain't just George Floyd. Like that. It. Like, come on, we still have, people that have been killed with no consequence. Even with the Ahmaud Arbery situation, how is it that these men got to go home? This black body is laying in the middle of the street. They told this brother's mother that your son was shot and killed because he was caught in a robbery. You know what I'm saying? Like how you are able to spin that kind of a story, that's crazy to me. And if we don't have video, you know what I'm saying? Like our lives, they could just kill us and say, well, he was resisting, he reached for my gun. And it's terrible. It's terrible. So we can't.
One of the saddest things, man. It's to make you feel like you just need like a body camera in the front, the back of you, somebody following you always. Like before, you might be getting into a little trouble, but like, all right, I'm sneaking out the house. I'm going here. I'm gonna send you the address. Now it's like, well, I'm just going down to the store to save a lot, but let me send you the address. I'm going to McDonald's, but let me send you the address just so you know where I'm at. Like, I'm just going to go to the mailbox, but let me send you the address so you know where I was just in case something happens to me.
Yeah, that's right. We got to do that to protect. But we have to protect ourselves. We have to protect our brothers and sisters. We have to protect each other.
Yes, and that's why I'm talking about like I said, with the boat. Listen, this boat, we need to treat this boat like it's very delicate. It's the one, how people be like, you only got one mama? It's like, that's how I feel. Like it's that one, we only got one love, y'all. We got one race, or we got our community. We gotta love it here. We gotta make sure these bridges are built this time with steel that cannot be destructed. We need to come back stronger. Just remember, these pieces of paper that declared this nation the nation was not written for us. Like, I'm like, when we gonna rewrite these documents? What about that? Can we read? Can we just need to start clean? But that's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight, but we're willing. People are definitely willing, and I'm glad that the fight has begun.
Yeah, I mean, we've been fighting, people talk about like peaceful protests, man. Come on.
We don't talk about it at my job. I say, don't ask me no questions. Don't do it.
We are tired. We are all about being peaceful, and for the most part, I've seen nothing but peaceful protests. I want to be very clear about that. The people are peaceful. But again, like Dr. King said, riots are the language of the unheard. Like y'all gonna listen to something I gotta say, because these buildings can be rebuilt, but y'all taking our lives, and that cannot be replaced. So you're not gonna justify the killing of black bodies over this building that I done threw a brick through.
Absolutely. Well,
So,
Jocelyn, we have definitely got a lot underneath. I got a
yeah,
couple more calls I'm going to make, but I just
I
want to,
appreciate you.
I appreciate you so much. I want to thank you for coming on, being a guest, and using your voice. I definitely, like I said, I understand what's going on in the world, but I still want to have you back on as a guest because I need our city to hear a little bit more behind the scenes of
Yeah.
JP Parker because you got fans out here, you got people who appreciate you and
Man,
love you. And sometimes people want to get to know you a little bit more, but they won't ask you. They don't want to, just
yeah, man,
invite too much. So we want to
real.
hear you. We want to hear your story. We want to hear what's going on. We want to hear your love. That's how I feel like. I feel we're all love, so we want to hear your love. So we're definitely gonna have you back.
I'd love to be here. So thank you for the invitation. I look forward to that for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I want to say this with my whole heart. You be safe out there. Remember,
Sure will.
COVID is still alive, so you
That's
still
right.
make sure you social distancing during all of
Yeah,
these practices and stay safe.
yeah.
Have that sanitizer. But you have a very nice day.
You too. You too.
All right. I'll
Thank you.
talk to you soon. Bye bye.
All right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that this episode today was very, very inspiring to me to be able to sit back and talk with these people who all come from different walks of life, but I have known them all for some time and I appreciate them. I appreciate their stands in life. I stand with them and I just want to continue to try to do my part and just spread positivity in the world and try to figure out how we're going to move forward together. And just to remind you that Black Lives Matter, all Black Lives matter, every Black life matters. And we are in this fight together. Let's get this boat rocking and make it the best damn boat of all time. And let's get our lives and our love and our focus together. Amen. Amen. This has been The Third Degree with me, your host, James Major Burns.